and the supply and what makes a stock volatile. So Tommy, do you understand what makes a stock volatile?
I like to learn more because actually I've been looking at all the signs on Thinkorswim and seeing the volatility and how that plays into the cost that you guys make. So I think if you can explain it better, it'll help me out a lot.
Okay, so I'm glad I got Stick on the line. So Stick, I wanted to see if you can give some insight on that if you're available to speak.
Not at the moment. I got the kids over here. I'm actually gonna mute myself, so if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead. Well, the biggest thing that I look at, Tommy, on the volatile side is the supply of the ticker. So, like, if you're looking at a Tesla, the supply on Tesla or the shares available on Tesla, you're sitting at 1 billion versus the shares on a PFE, which is probably 4 times that available. Let me see. Yeah, you're sitting at like 5 billion. So the lower the supply available, the easier it is for a stock to move when they get volume coming in.
So is that why mRNA moves so violently when it does move?
Which one?
mRNA.
What's your available over there? mRNA. That looks like yeah, 405 million, bro. Like that's a strong mover with less volume. So it's going to take a lot less volume to move that just as quick as a Tesla in general because of the 405 million available on that supply.
Makes sense.
And the same thing with crypto. You know, people's like, hey, well, Bitcoin's 50,000 and Shiba can go to 50,000. It's going to go to 50,000. Well, they got to look at that current supply. If you look at Bitcoin supply, it's like 21 million, and Shiba is like 1 quadrillion, but it has more holders than Bitcoin has. Basically, or it's close to it. But the price hasn't went up because of that. The supply is so large; it takes a whole lot more volume and holders to move that price from where it's at. As Bitcoin goes up, as we keep on getting large institutional investors buying into it, then it's actually setting, it's setting the bar for higher highs, man. Literally, like that 100,000 mark is very, it can reach that very easily. The more and more institutions buy, so that's why I like to kind of bookmark when institutions are buying into Bitcoin. Because you may see a lot of people saying, hey, it's going to crash back down to 10,000. I'm like, right now, there's no way because there's so many institutions investing into BTC. So they're constantly taking away from that supply. So the more people buy it, the higher the price will go because there's going to be less available. That scenario works the same with stocks. The more people buy Tesla, the higher the price will go because the uh, the supply that's available is lower than a lot of other ones out there. If you guys ever played like the OTC market, you'll have those tickers that are 80 million, 100 million shares available. And you get a very small amount of volume coming in there. Boom, everybody thinks it's whales hitting it, but really it doesn't have to be a whale because there's not very many shares because it's a small company. So it doesn't take a lot to move that from 9 zeros up to a penny over time. It doesn't take a lot because there's not very many shares available to purchase. So that's why a lot of people make tons of money in the OTC stocks. And then they may lose a lot of money because those so-called whales, they sell at the top and the volume's not there to hold it. So overall, that's what I look at when I'm trading these volatile stocks and crypto at the same time. You got to know how much further it can go up.
I do have a question if you have your platform on right now.
I don't. What platform are you looking at?
I'm looking at Thinkorswim, and I was just how I'm looking at stocks. Let's take Murner for example. When I look at the open interest, I'm understanding that as for example, there's 1,100 open interest in this particular strike price at this particular date.
Okay, well,
And then
I'll look it up on Fidelity real quick. Give me that ticker that you're looking at.
MRNA, December 17th, 340 strike point.
December 17th, mRNA. It's at 370?
340.
340.
Either one. I just took the closest one.
Okay, so you got 1,110 holders right there that have already bought that contract.
So that's saying that 1,100 people brought that particular contract,
Basically,
and 1,454. That's the volume of that particular contract moving.
So I got, yeah, that's what it looks like. So I'm on Fidelity, but yes. So basically, when I'm going out and looking at, so you see that the 320 strike.
Yeah.
You had 13,000 there. So the money call prior to the money call right now that I would look into if I had the cash flow will actually be buying in the money at that 320 strike. But I always look at open interest. You know, it's a couple plays out there that may have like, 100,000 open interest in Ford. Those are the ones I'm looking at buying because once you buy it, you already got so many people there holding that contract. It's going to be easier to get out if you want to get out and not lose as much if it does go down. But if you're in a contract
Gotcha.
and have a lot of open interest, meaning investors, then it's going to be harder for you to get out. You're going to have to sell your contracts for a cheaper price to get out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference. Sometimes you may see a price go down and you're still holding green just because there's so many holders there as well.
Gotcha.
Yep. So
And then
the open interest.
and then the implied volatility is like 65%. So can you try to explain that to me one more time?
Let me see. Gladdy, are you there? I think she just logged in too.
Yeah, she just logged in. I think she's setting up.
Okay, give me 1 second.
But this is very good information to know.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning.
Okay. Hey, Gladdy, we're just sitting here going over the open interest. Well, Tommy has some questions about the open interest and in regards to options, how we're looking at it, what open interest means as far as the number of lives. And then the implied volatility is basically like long story short, how much more, well, like the higher the number, I think is how much more investors think that stock is going to move.
The only other thing that I look at is this delta showing like their percentage. It changes per dollar. So I don't look at anything else like on Thinkorswim or my Fidelity platform, unless there's something else when I'm choosing that strike point that I should be looking at, paying attention to.
So, hey, Stick, are you there?
Yo.
Hey, when you're looking at your implied volatility, are you looking at a higher number or you want a mid number like 60s?
It all depends on the move. If it's going to be a day trade, then I'm looking at the applied volatility. If it's over 100%, they're obviously looking at something's going to move big time. So if it goes the opposite way, you're going to get hurt really, really bad. If it moves up, it's going to work in your favor. If I'm looking long term, I don't want something with a high implied volatility because it's going to drop off. And the price may actually move up, but the implied volatility is going to come down. And you're still going to take a loss. It takes a big move. Typically, if I'm swinging something, I usually look at the theta. How much is it going to eat me up day after day if it doesn't move? That's typically look at it.
So when you're looking at the implied volatility in general, like I used to always look at, if it's a higher number, like 100, it has to be some news coming in.
100 plus, they're obviously expecting a big move themselves. That's why it's so damn expensive.
Okay, got you. Yeah. So, and literally, I'm always looking at the 80s myself, but anything over that, there has to be something coming up soon, like some.
Yeah, I mean, I try to look for something under 100 typically. I mean, if it's up in the 120s, 130s, I mean, yeah, they're expecting something big, but it's, you better be right or you're going to get eaten up.
And then the lower the implied volatility, the safer for a long-term buy.
Correct. That's, yeah, if I'm looking for something a couple of weeks out, a month out, or a leap, yeah, then I'm looking at either the theta and the implied volatility. The implied volatility is low, is one thing, but if the theta's up there, that theta is pretty much telling you how much it's going to eat away each day.
There it is.
Yeah, so basically, if you're playing options, you're just basically playing like predictors, right, of what the future stock or volatility and stock price outcome is going to be. That's the whole idea of doing options. So the level of implied volatility, it is traders anticipating future stock movement. So if you compare implied volatility to like historical average, they find insight into which thinking whether it's going to go higher or lower of future volatility. So it is attractive. If people who does options look at implied volatility, there's actually a ranking for that. The higher it is, the more volatile it is. So volatility, that's the one main ingredient for options, right? So if it moves up and down, that's where more people thinks that it's profitable if you're scalping. Just like what Stick and Bull had mentioned, that you have a higher one, that their price premium is expensive and a lot more volatile. When it's lower, then it's better for long term, but you're not going to expect such a big drastic move. So when you have GameStop, that's a great example. It has 323% like implied volatility when it was going crazy. So if you remember, the contract for GameStop was going like 60,000 at one point. And then likewise with AMC, if you have bought those contracts, the $40 C, I still remember like June expiration, $40 C, if you have bought that in May, that only costs you $20. And then when that thing ran, that $20 went up like 30,000%. So that is due to implied volatility. So that is the reason why you have intrinsic and extrinsic value for your option. Intrinsic is the value of the stock. If it's say stock AMC is using $12, so that's intrinsic. Extrinsic is that implied volatility, how people want to be in that stock. So that is how people use this implied volatility for their advantage too. So if you're gonna jump into something and you just wanting to do that for say short term and just make a quick scalp money, that is like one thing that people uses. So that's how you use implied volatility for options, right? So you could avoid that and be on the safe side, but you can also use that to your advantage to buy and profit right away.
Does anybody else have anything open discussion right now? KMC, Lorraine, Becca?
Nope, I'm good.
No, but I'll add something real quick if you don't mind.
Go ahead, bro.
That's also why a lot of traders typically don't take options within the first 15 minutes or so of the market opening, because sometimes the implied volatility is through the roof. Like you can take an option you bought in the morning and the implied volatility could be 130, 140, but then the stock may still move later on in the day, but your options didn't go anywhere or they actually went negative because the implied volatility came down. So you paid the premium, but the implied volatility came down. Your option's worth less than it was 3-4 hours later, even though the stock made the move. So just keep that in mind also.
Great info. And you know what? That kind of ties into, I think last week, I forget what it was, but, it was some dark pools that it came in on that Friday. And just going into Monday, if you're just watching that volume, and I said, hey, it's going to pop, this stock is going to pop up because the volume came in on Friday. The implied volatility was high as hell, but as soon as it happened, it dipped down low. Probably 30 minutes later, it was a short position. The implied volatility dropped drastically. So that's definitely good info, Stick. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hey
That's
guys, I'm
something
gonna
that
go ahead and do a quick market overcap real quick, and then Gladys is getting ready to set up. So you guys have any tickers you want to chart or any other information, you can hit her up. I think the biggest thing right now on the market and the news is this new COVID variant, right? So Moderna just announced that the new vaccine could be ready for early 2022. They're saying it could take up to 100 days to revamp the vaccine. So your high plays on the COVID vaccine will be your Modernas, your Invax, your INO, you got your PFE, your BNTX, your J&J, and your AZN. That was just listed about an hour ago, and that's on Seeking Alpha is where I pulled that from. Monday, we have earnings. The only one that I see is LI Auto. On Tuesday, we have CRM, GFX, and Box. Wednesday, we have Snow and Crowd. Thursday, we have MRVL and DG. And Friday, some names that we don't trade, but I'll put them there anyway because some may. We have BIHG and HIBB. Peter, I just pulled some info. They say Amazon has a 4-day corporate event.
Let me see.
I couldn't find the dates of that. They said Amazon has a 4-day corporate event overall with all their new tech that's coming up. So Amazon is on watch. We also have a annual event coming up with Microsoft this week. Expect new insight on Microsoft becoming a major player in the metaverse sphere or space. And some other information that the investors are looking at are your Black Friday sales updates on how much these companies have made over the weekend. The companies to watch and anticipation will be Shop, Etsy, W for Wayfair, and Apple on the iPhone sales. They said that they capped over 10 million in sales over the weekend. So watch out for your bullish sentiment on those plays. Acid Beam, you ready to roll?
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
I'm posting right now.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Got it. Thank you, Peter.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm gonna join again using my computer. I'm gonna log out and log back in so I can share.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that, guys. I
No worries.
lost track of time. All right. Okay. So just major things that happened last week. So the Omicron variant, so that is the new COVID variant that Bull has just mentioned. We also, let's not forget that the Fed had a meeting last Wednesday before the holidays, and they had announced some negative news that saying that they're gonna taper now, and they did acknowledge inflation. So let's not forget that that happened, and also there is a deadline for the U.S. inflation on December 15. So if you guys had remembered that the U.S. Needed to raise the debt ceiling way back in October, and then the Senate were trying to come to a compromise. If they're gonna raise it, it's just that they like to talk. So that was postponed, and Biden signed a law into postponing it up to December. So basically, Janet Yellen is giving the Senate a deadline until December 15th. Okay, so those things. So pay attention to that. In terms of what happened last week, we had a very short week. Okay, so let me try and it's okay. Oh, all right,
I was just about to mute her.
all right. Okay, great. It's okay. All right. So we had a very short week last week, so that means also we had also a very low volume, and um, there's a lot of selling, and it was very volatile. I did scalping like I think Monday, so implied volatility was higher, right? Because there's a lot of less people. So less people whenever someone sell, there's such a big move and so forth. So that was happening last week. So what is going to happen next week or this coming week is that most people are going to go back to work and they're going to start trading. So there's going to be more volume. Um, what happened also last week, if you guys have noticed, and we talked about this, um, well, I'll talk about the SPY later on in terms of the chart, but before the COVID, we had a chance like the weekend before to talk about the COVID and how because they're starting to shut down Europe, right? So we did talk about, oh, why don't we look into a COVID play? So those were the things that. Hold on, can you guys see my screen? I just want to set it up. No,
I think it's loading. Okay, now I see it. Yep.
the chart, right?
No, your Discord.
Okay, hold on a second. So let me just.
It's up now.
Oh, the chart.
Yep.
Okay,
Oh, no.
No.
let me do this again. Change
See the
windows.
chart?
No, not yet.
Alright.
Yeah, Bill, I'm still looking
Okay,
for the Amazon.
stop streaming. Let me just do this. I don't know why they're doing this to me. I have all these windows open. Okay, so couple of things that. Are you doing this? It's card. Okay, let me. I might need to go back in. I just need to change windows. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't really leave. I don't know what happened. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Whatever. That thing is, I'm just gonna open a new window. Okay, so I again, oops. So again, last week was a short week, and then next week is going to be more like regular trading week. Okay, um, that means what I think. What I think would happen is that there might still be a reaction from what happened last week because some people weren't there to react yet. So just be careful. There might be a little bit of a dip, and then some it might bounce. But what I am looking into, I was reading this weekend. So we do have the COVID play, and you guys still there can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Anvax is waiting for an approval next week. So this week, I mean. So on top of your mRNA, BNTX, um, Anvax is also on watch. And also there is a company called VIR. It's, I guess it's a short for virus. So VIR is only trading for $30, but it also ran along with the vaccine play. They have a $1 billion deal with GSK. So the CEO came out last week on CNBC saying that their product will stand up well again to all variants, and they will deliver the full $1 billion order to the federal government by December 17. So there's not a lot of things going on for that company yet, but it's definitely you guys, I'll add that to our watch list. And I am gonna try and see if I could
You said VIR?
VRR, yes.
Victor
Tire
Ice
screen.
Cream Robber?
Victor Ice Cream Robert. Can you guys see my screen now or no? Just the Discord?
Um, there we go. I see it. Market Chameleon, right?
Yes. Okay, good. Okay, there you go. There's my charts. Okay. And then you guys can see it, right? Clorox and all of that. Okay, so another thing on my watch. So I also list down last week we did mention the year of shutdown. So we have Zoom, Vaccine, Peloton, ATVI, and Roku on our list, but we didn't really fully dive into those things. So this week I wrote down a couple of notes. So Zoom. So there's not a lot of flow going for Zoom. The highest one I have is 500K at 230, 235, and 250C. So that's still it went to the bottom actually. It was the price, the pre-COVID price. So I thought that was interesting, and then it bounced, and then they announced this new COVID variant. Um, okay, so it was basically like around here, the pre-COVID price, and before it took off, and now it went below that. So it was like around like when they're trying to figure out life back then in 2022. So it had a nice bounce due to the news. And they also just had earnings. So, but the last trading session, it had a gap up and then had a big red candle. So it might be attempting a breakup, but then it had failed. So pay attention to that. There's also Peloton. So these are like, because these are the stocks that ran last time, right? So Peloton. Um, there's a dark pool coming in at 46.41 at 415 million. There's ATVI, Roku. I'm just listing them here. So these are the top ones, and then as well as Netflix. I also am looking at the other one that ran the last time, which is Clorox. So CLX had a nice breakout. If you guys can see my chart. So again, I thought it was interesting because Clorox was also trading around the pre-COVID price. So around this level, and then it went up significantly during the whole COVID period, and then it had a sharp decrease. I guess when we had the vaccine out, right? And then recently it bounced off of that levels, and then when I drew the trend line, it had a really strong candle for a breakout. So I do like Clorox, CLX. Another COVID play that that everyone knows is Expa. It's like the airport one. Is it Expa? Express Spa Group. So this is also getting a lot of volume. Last Friday, I have not done the chart for this one. Don't know why, but um, it's starting to gain traction. So what they do is they were one of the main low ticker options player, COVID player last year. I think the target was like $3 or something like that. So to pay attention to this one, it went up all the way to oh, so it went all the way up to $10. So they do the wrap $9. So they were doing the rapid COVID testing, or they were developing that. It was quite choppy, but I did see some increase in implied volatility as well as in volume with this COVID variant announcement last Friday. Okay. So one big thing is, of course, the SPY. So the SPY will pull the tech as well as the QQQ, right? So the SPY and the Q. We have gone over this in our workshops, and we did say, okay, so just an explanation quickly for those of you, just a quick review. This is the trend that we've been paying attention to the SPY, this channel, the red and the blue. Don't mind the green one yet. Okay, so red and the blue. MA 100, MA 200. Okay. Now, you guys remember that this was back in October, or I mean September, when it went below this trend line. So this trend line is an absolute bull run, right? So it goes up, it goes down, it gets picked up, it gets picked up at this support. However, that failed the last uh, September. So now, when we continue this trend line, this was the beginning of November when we had our chart workshop and said that, oh, okay, so SPY is now at a resistance. It will try to sell off, right? Because people are gonna make money and so forth. So this is what happened. It got picked up at the support, and then it had a little bounce. But look, it's like a dead cat bounce, and see it lingered here in the support. There's a really strong support here of buyers, and at that time, before we were heading into Friday, it looked like it's recovering, right? So if you put the Bollinger Bands, it was right at the middle of the Bollinger. It's still pretty strong. It could bounce right back into the channel. But then what happened last Friday, so you could see it went below the Bollinger Band, below this trend line. So we are no longer in the bull run. If you're not in this channel, you're here, that means you are not in the bull run. And we are at the bottom of, well, we touched the bottom of the Bollinger with the momentum, everything else is at the bottom, right? So this is not a good sign for tech. So that's why we did see a lot of sell off. And the red candle is quite strong. Like traders are decided that they're going to sell. So what could happen with the SPY? Because we want to watch the SPY, right? To see a potential move. The next thing, if it fails here at the 459 level, what we're looking at next is the moving averages. So the moving average, this one, this purple. So it could bounce. So this is a good support, right? So what happened the last time when, let me get rid of this. What happened the last time when it broke this blue line? It touched this support, and then it had a red candle, a strong red candle. And then look at the next day, it broke that support and then went to the following support, which is the 100 moving average. It jumped, and then that purple line, which was the support, became a resistance. Dump, broke it, dump, and then this green line, this is the new line that I made, but yeah, it's just lingered around there. So now the question is whether or not the SPY will maintain the 460. So if it doesn't, it'll be 451 or 450. So that is the next support for SPY if it doesn't protect the 460. So I would do this. I'm gonna get rid of that. The Q as well. The QQQ also holds the major tech indices. So the Q also is at the bottom of the Bollinger. So if that happens, your momentum has decreased. I could potentially see 385 from 391. Okay, Amazon has a event. Do we know the date for that, Peter?
No. No, I still can't find it.
It's okay. Let me go see. Yeah, okay. So likewise with Amazon. Well, actually, Amazon is still at the top of the Bollinger Band, so it didn't really completely sell off, but it had a well, but it's Amazon, right? It's like a huge move. And we went over this in our chart session, in which now it's moving around, is operating around this trend line now. So what I will do is just draw a line here, and so that one captures it. So right there. So see if it bounces off of that. But if not, you're looking at support of 34.30 levels. So Amazon's a little bit hard to trade. So if there's no direction, there's no, I'll make sure that you guys know what you're doing. Um, and watch it, right? Because it's a really tricky trade. Shop. I think Shop did well last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Like there is a sell off, but let me get rid of this. Too much. Okay. Okay, so Shop stayed right above the middle of the Bollinger, which is the 20 moving average. So let's just pay attention to this one. Um, let's wait for the SPY, I would say, just to be sure. So if the SPY is dropping and if you want to buy an asset at the bottom, if the SPY is still dropping, highly likely that asset or that stock will continue to drop. So wait until the SPY reverses its direction or it's no longer selling off, right? So that might be a fake breakout, whatever you guys are looking at. Amazon still 1700 support for Google for Shop. Yeah, that's what I will do for the top for the main for the tech and then see if there's a buying opportunity. That's what I would do and I would wait for. Let's see, because Google. So it could be just reacting to the news, right? So we don't know if there's going to be more reaction from this COVID variant. Um, Google looks like it's a good entry because it went down so much at 28.51. So that is a nice support actually. 28. Wow, it went down so much. Okay. 28.51 is a support. Like watch for entry. And Microsoft, I believe we have they're going to talk about their product. And we did cover Microsoft in our last charting workshop. And I left all the lines that we talked about. So it's looking like it is going to its support of 325. I would wait for 325 for support to get in. And the target for this one will be 350. If that's the case. So because it's already okay, it's already 329. So this might be a quick one to like make a it might drop to 325 and then go in. Or you guys can get into 329 and then average down if you guys want to. But yeah. Meta or Facebook. Facebook is a little tricky. I find that every time it reach an important level, it sells off. So I don't know, it's still a little tricky for me. Where is it? A 200 moving average. Okay. Yeah, it's still a little bit tricky for me. So it is right at the middle of the Bollinger Band. So it can go either way to like 323 and the momentum is going down. So depending again on the SPY and the overall market, then this could go down to 323 to or 350. So 323 is the support for this beta.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I found
Go
it.
ahead.
It says tomorrow to December 3rd. I posted in chat. It's not listed
This
anywhere for some reason.
December 3rd event
Yeah, so
for
it starts.
Amazon.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow till December 3rd. So
Oh, tomorrow. What is tomorrow? November
uh
29th.
29th, correct?
Okay. So Amazon, then I guess it might be a little bit volatile depending on. It's a long conference. Yeah, they might hold. I don't know. They might announce whatever they have at the beginning, or they might announce towards the end. So we'll see. Apple. Apple had a great last week. Well, not last week, like the week before, but then it dumped just like everything else. But it is maintaining. Okay, so it is right above 155, so that's not a bad sign. Horizontal line. Um, okay, I see that. See you 55, 50. Okay, so Apple needs to stay about 155. Okay. 55. And then Netflix.
Sorry, go ahead.
Netflix, I is another COVID play. Did had a nice bounce, but then sell off quickly. Um, I know a couple of people that placed this in our group. So 665, I believe 775 is the next number for this. But I will just be paying attention to this. 675 is the resistance. So I don't know if that is. I'll wait for flow and I wait for direction, the price movement. So price movement, I usually use the VWAP for this. VWAP with setting of 4 days, the last 4 days. So if it's below the VWAP, then highly likely there's less people there, the volume is lower. It's above the VWAP, then it is bullish. So I would just watch the VWAP for most of this. Okay, Tesla might just be going sideways. I don't know if there's any catalyst for Tesla, but as you guys know that this is just operating between 1,000 to like 1,200. Oh no, 1,100 actually. It hasn't been going. Did it go above it or 1,200? So yeah, so Tesla I think is just trading in range. So Tesla 1,000 to 12,000 trading range. Okay, Nvidia absolutely had a major sell off. After their earnings, they had a smashing earnings and they did printed all-time high, but then it just it's doing this. Once it reached the all-time high, it just kind of fade. All-time high, it's just kind of fade. So it's just now going to be trading again in range. I don't see it going down yet, but it's just trading in range now between three, like the three above 310. As long as it's above 313, Nvidia is okay. So 313 until what's the high one? This one, 327. So that is the trading range for Nvidia at the moment. It hasn't been even reaching 330, so I'll pay attention to this one. AMD, I thought did well last Friday, but then it has sell off as well towards the end of the day. And again, last Friday was Black Friday, it was a short week, so there's a lot less traders, and most people probably just cash out. Um, and also AMD is right at the resistance, right at the top of the trend line. So I would pay attention to this. This might just linger around again, just trade sideways. I don't see any momentum coming in. And then I did go into Affirm. Affirm, I was going for that due to the flow. So there was a flow, and I do like the daily chart for the Affirm. It bounced right off the fib, and it's at the bottom of the Bollinger. It had a nice turn, and then the VWAP. It is trading in. It's just following the VWAP, so I do like that. Let me make sure that I have the right settings. Input multi-band session visibility. Okay. So I do like Affirm. So my target for Affirm is 140 level, like 140. So I am in Affirm. I did mention in the group that I do like the flow of on 1217 135C, and then it bounced off the support at 130. So I do like that. Um, the Disney, I look into it. There's a small flow going into the sell side, so I probably would not touch this yet. Taiwan Semiconductor, I like this because they have a partnership with Apple. So Apple dropped Qualcomm to sign up with Taiwan Semi to make their iPhone, I believe, and their MacBook. So they're going to use them as their major supplier for Semi. And also, Motorola, I think, is also considering the same thing. But it had a really bad session last Friday. And it's now right at the bottom of the Bollinger. So I'm going to see, I think it's just whatever happened to the China crap that happened Thursday, and as well as the overall market. But I did average down. So I'm going to see how this works out. So it did maintain, it did defend the 117 level, which is good. It was at 118 and then it dropped to 116. Then now it's back up to 117. So we'll see what will happen in my case. But other than that, I would probably cut my loss. I'll have my stop loss at like minus 30% loss. I did average down, so I have a couple of contracts that I picked up at the bottom. So that is, oh, do have a dark pool that printed last Friday, 117 for 49 million and 120 for 36 million. So that is above the ask where it closed. So it closed, I believe, at 119 or some 117.09, and then we have a 117. Oh, they do have a dark pool 117, so it did maintain that, and then there's a 120 dark pool for 36 million. So I am waiting for direction for this one, but yeah, I did average down, and I will be cutting my loss if I'm 30% loss. So another thing too that is important, I think, is Bitcoin. Crypto also had a big sell off as well, so people are just liquidating, and I actually haven't been looking at the Bitcoin chart. So what I did is I did a quick chart on this. And yeah, so Bitcoin broke the support. So it went below the support of the 58.59 level. And now we are currently, so 58.59 level, that is the moving average. And now we are looking at the 100-day moving average, this yellow line, as well as the second fib. So 54 is a really important level. It's looking like it's just trading in the 54 level. So if Bitcoin fails this number, we could see the 50, and it's probably going to break it. And the next support is 46. So pay attention to this. It's looking weak. I've been trying, I've been watching this, but since the sell off, I don't see any strength. And I think the volume is also, let me see the volume. I didn't have the, yeah, the volume is low too. So there's a big volume on the sell side. And then they try to revive it because it touched that support. So people thinking that's going to bounce. And then a quick sell off. So there's a lot less volume going into Bitcoin, and it is at a really important support of 54,000. If 54,000 does not defend, then it will go definitely to 50 and then straight to 45. So with that being said, crypto is going to be down. So the coins are going to be affected. Ethereum will be affected. The main players as well as our Bitcoin play. So you have Mara, Riot Coin, and MicroStrategy. So Mara's been doing shit. I think it's below 50. I think it's at 40 something. So pay attention to those things. I would probably pay attention to how Bitcoin moves before you guys decide on what you guys are going to do with those plays. And then what else do I have? I'm just going to leave the infrastructure bill here because we talked about this. Excuse me. Apologies. Ugh. And yeah, so that's all that I have. Also, oh yeah, one thing that I also noticed is that implied volatility also started increasing in the biotech. So it looks like the money, pharma and biotech. So it looks like the money left the technology sector and went into the biotech or pharma. So you have your Moderna, all your vaccine stuff, and then some random biotech also started pumping. So pay attention to that. I think I made a list of the biotech stocks are moving. So pay attention to those things. I'm still gathering my list for that, but let me I'm not done with my list for that one, but pay attention to this biotech stock that, at small caps and even large caps, they are moving. The money's going there. So that might be my main play. So yeah, so that's all I have. I think that's a lot for your watch list. Um, how I will approach next week, I will just choose the sector that's moving. So that's where the money is because I'm not sure yet how people are going to react to this new variant. So I'll be focusing on those COVID variant and watch the price action. When you say price action, that is your volume, that is your support and resistance, and that is your VWAP. So make sure you have your VWAP set to 4. And if you guys are using the trend spider, we do have a setup there that I use for 10 minutes, the EMA clouds. Oh, so this is expa. I do like expa. The reason why I like it is because it's one of the COVID play. And as I mentioned earlier, sorry, I'm not going on a tangent because the chart is here. It wasn't in my old chart, but it had a reversal right here. And then now it needs to get over 160. $1 and 60 something cents to go up. It has all these major indicators on the daily that it needs to it's trying to break. So as I mentioned earlier, so I would just go for we have the EMA cloud set up for our let me go see switch workspace stacking. Maybe acid beam have that. So I will just go for 10 minutes. And I usually use this MA clouds setup. If it's above, this is my VWAP in blue, and then it's still below VWAP. So I would watch the price action this is 10 minutes. So this is mostly day trade. And I would see if it'll go up, if it's going to get rejected when it touches this, because usually that happens. And then if not, then that is a breakout. So that I will pay attention to the VWAP. And what else? And I will just focus on like a couple of tickers and make sure that you guys review our watch list because so far it's been we've had we forget about it. We talk about it on Sunday calls and then one for example Roblox we had it at $80 and then it ran to like 120, right? So make sure that you guys pay attention to our watch list and just to consult it, and then because we talk about it, we not being carried away by the hype. And there's a lot of plays here that you guys can focus on, right? And so just focus on one or two plays. Make sure that you guys don't overtrade. And then if it goes down, there are factors to consider, right? Because like what happened last Thursday is just dumb. So, and you can't predict that. No one can really predict this, other than the fact that the Fed spoke last Wednesday, which was a bad news. So I'll pay more attention to those little things, and I think not a lot of people traded too last week. So yeah, so always protect your money, always protect your capital, a lot of risk management. You know, if you guys go into a trade and it didn't work out, it's okay. That's part of trading. So you might get emotional. If you're emotional, then step away, right? So you need to operate like you're a robot and make sure that you are there profiting, and which gets the best of us, right? So it happens to me a lot too. You FOMO trade or you revenge trade. So let's try not to do that. If you are starting with a small account, um, like just work on one ticker and don't go all in. If it make sure that it's still above your support and your resistance. If you have $500, don't expect a win of $1,000 because that's just hard to get. That's um that's very hopeful. So if you have $500, then you're probably going to win $50, and that's already big, right? 10% of that. So no, that's like, yeah, so 500, 10%, that's 50. So if $100 win on $500, that's pretty big, right? So manage your risk. So we have given you all of this, and then we also going to give you the flow during the day. And and yeah, so once before you go into a trade, make sure that you guys know what you're doing. If you're going into a trade and you're scared, that means you're not prepared for what's going to happen, right? So all the preparation happens before the trade. And then once you're in, then all you got to do is risk management, right? Because you cannot outsmart the market. You're not right all the time. Um, you are just trying your best not to be noticed by the market and take a little bit piece of that pot of that money. So that is what I have. Hello. You guys have anything else?
Nope. I-
No, that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we have Walmart getting hedged both ways, getting small volume, nothing over 100%. Okay.
Oh, there was target downfall, wasn't it?
XBI IBB index. So how are you guys growing your account? Because it's such a volatile market last week. So if you have a small account, it's probably you only have 3 day trades. So if you're gonna do a big, you know, study, make sure that you have a nice, like, you're sure about the trade. You're gonna go in, not go all in out, right? So you can average down, and then make sure that you guys have a day trade, so you can get out if needed. So I guess we're is there anything? I'll definitely pay attention to the pharma. Big pharma, small pharma, biotech, all of that. They're getting volume, and revisit some of the COVID play. I'm probably just gonna. I always watch Amazon, but they have an event next week, so I'll probably play it depending on the chart. So, and depending on the price action, and Shop and Etsy. So, and Microsoft. So those are the things, but definitely focus on little things. Probably go into Zoom. It had a nice sell off, and NVAX. I'm in NVAX as well. I left some runners. I did post it in a group. I went in when it dropped, and yeah, I'm holding a couple of contracts for NVAX. I hate NVAX, but so yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, we had that call for NVAX at 260, and then it dropped like ridiculously to like 250. No, 160, and then it dropped to like 115, which was a major support line, and people picked it up. and then look at it now, it's at 230, something stupid. So it was a hit piece, and like something good was going to happen to the company, and people wanted it at a cheaper price, basically. I did not have the proper risk management for that one, so that's always going to be a lesson for me. And because I hated it so much, I did not look back into the chart and missed out on this opportunity. Because when it went above 145, it just went straight to 200 and still going. So yeah, so I was being emotional for that NVAX call. It's another lesson learned. Yep, you and me, Keith. That was horrible.
We were holding hands on that one.
Yes, we were holding hands. Holy crap. That was horrible.
It was a horrible ride.
Yeah, it was a hit piece. And then,
It
yeah,
was.
after a week that it was lingering around 145, it just
was
ran
back.
because we hated so much that we didn't look at it. We're like,
It was
and
a
it's
double.
at, yeah. And then now it's at 220. So, it's like like literally, I'm like, not looking at it. And then it had a crazy run.
Just part of trading.
Yes, it is part of trading. So revenge trading is never good, but and don't be upset if having loss is part of it, and then don't have that feeling of being upset and being in a bad mood
Yeah,
towards your next trade. Yeah,
I just won't touch it right now because I'm still emotional about it.
yeah, I know. Oh my god, that was horrible. Yes, and it was such a hit piece. Like because they have upcoming approvals in the euro.
Yeah.
So someone just wanted to get in at a really cheap price of 115. Oh my god. Yeah. It was like a publication called Politico. Like, okay. So, yeah. And that's inevitable. And now that after hours it dropped like a rock, and then they picked it up at 115, and then, they just burned everybody who was holding contracts. They let Theta eat them and let it like lingered at 145. So all the implied volatility will decrease, premium prices will decrease because the holders will just sell, and that's when they ran it. So, but you never know. The story of options. Okay. Bull, do you have anything else to say? I think he is at the crypto chat. All right. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Gladys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
See you
You
tomorrow.
too. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.